Today, I would like to take a few moments and share a short insight with you on forgiveness. Because forgiveness is a topic that we all need to think about repeatedly as we go through life. Now, as you all know, life in this world is filled with problems and it is difficult. On any given day, life is never easy for most of us. It is like every day we are climbing up this endless staircase in our journey of life. And we fatigue and we face challenges. And during the journey, we sometimes are given a pause to rest, and then we keep moving on as more challenges come our way, and it's a steep journey of learning. Now, if you try to climb this staircase of life with two 50-kilogram suitcases, you will absolutely tire. You will end up stopping. Your health will fail. Now, what do I mean by these 50-kilogram suitcases? Every time we encounter situations, conversations, conflicts, events, we all react with emotions towards these things. And those of us who get hurt, some of us let it go. Others keep it in our hearts. And it grows and grows and grows. And this is what fills these suitcases of ours. So, for example, some people are very sensitive and they will hold this in their hearts all their lives. Sometimes someone could hurt us and they've moved on and even forgotten about us. But here we are still holding that hurt and carrying that burden of that suitcase. Why? So it is time for us to stop feeling burdened and fatigued. And we need to empty out these suitcases so we can ascend the staircase of life with freedom. This is very important. And with COVID and with more challenges that we are all facing every day, we just talked about a dear friend of ours here in our group and the kind of the challenges he's facing. So it's time for us to lighten our baggage so that we can make the most of life. Now, how can we lighten this baggage? Simple answer is through forgiveness. So, what is forgiveness, you may ask? I believe forgiveness is a state of being. It is a state where we deflect and detach from all hurtful and negative emotions and memories that can burden us, leave us sad, rob us of our happiness in the present, make us bitter and vengeful, and ultimately destroy our health, our relationships, and our well being. So, all these burdens are something we do not want to carry. And the power of forgiveness enables us to deflect and detach from all of them. Now, what benefits does forgiveness bring? Forgiveness is a very powerful source of detachment. And detachment is important in all dimensions of life. Forgiveness is a source of pure freedom and liberation. It is an avenue of creating space in our beings by getting rid of all the unwanted hurts and pains, creating new space which we can fill with love, light, and happiness in our beings, which we deserve. Forgiveness is our God-given gift and right as human beings to help us attain good health, well-being, and a wholesome quality of life. So it's a gift given to us by our Creator. However, forgiveness and ego don't go together. They pull in opposite directions. Our ego often suppresses this innate blessing of empowerment of forgiveness that resides in us. Holding grudges or being too proud to seek forgiveness are hallmarks of the ego. And they are pointless and futile I mean, just walk in the cemetery and look at everyone buried there. Did any part of this ego ever matter to anyone in the world? When you're in that cemetery looking around, does anyone really care whether someone lowered his pride or lowered his ego or asked forgiveness or didn't? Does anyone really care? No. And take a walk in this cemetery and see how simple and neutral we all end up. So during our lifetime, why live with that ego? Why not give forgiveness, ask forgiveness, and live life to its fullest? Because that's value. Gain knowledge, gain light, be happy, because happiness is also placed for us everywhere to harness. But we can if we are free from within, not if we are burdened with these weights that keep us down and fatigue us and hurt us. When we sit quietly in an armchair, and after 3 minutes, we are a nervous wreck because all these hurts start showing up, and we say, why are you here? Get rid of them. So, how can we work with ourselves to achieve forgiveness? Firstly, I would say we need to change our mindset, to switch out of the past and live in the present. Because a lot of our hurts and everything reside in the past, but we give them open carte blanche access into our presence. So we got to shift that mindset. Secondly, we have to learn to let things go. Let it go. And I was talking to a young lady yesterday, and we were discussing her health. And she also gets very tense and very uptight and very worked up. Um, her, her dimensions of her challenge were slightly different, but that state of mind is also very similar to people who haven't let go of events and haven't forgiven. And as we talked about her health, I asked her to consider this question every time she found herself in a frenzy and really uptight and worked up and stressed. And I could see that she is clearly a candidate for cancer with the way she thinks. And I asked her to keep putting this one question in her mind when she found herself in that state of hurt and pain and frenzy, which is this worth getting cancer over? So the next time you're sitting there really wound up and upset about what someone has done, pause and ask yourself, is this worth getting cancer over? And very quickly you will realize that all you're doing is hurting yourself. The people who have caused us hurt have moved on. Maybe they know us, maybe they remember us, maybe they don't, but they've moved on. Is it worth getting cancer over? And if you keep asking that real question, because the possibility of driving your health down to that level is high, then you want to ask yourself, why do I want to be victim to this? So remember that question. Now, I've also shared with you the technique of anchor thought. And in the anchor thought, we have learned how to go into stillness, and then as we get into stillness and silence and we have detached from everything, we then anchor ourselves in a state of being. So if it is forgiveness, you would anchor yourself in that state of I am forgiveness. And to remind you, anchor thought is the state that you are in at any given point in time. So when I ask you, how are you? And you say, I am fine, that's the most useless example. That's the most useless response you can give me because it means nothing. But you can say to me, I am happy, I'm concerned, I'm at peace, I'm in harmony. So here you anchor yourself in forgiveness. I am forgiveness. And you keep repeating that. I am forgiveness. Now, we have on my YouTube channel and on the website, you will find an audio recording called The Art of Anchor Thought. Listen to it, practice to it. So one way to start anchoring yourself in forgiveness is to make forgiveness a state of being, a state of mind, using anchor thought. Secondly, You have to seek to make peace with the past. When you make peace with the past and you forgive the past, you will find that a lot of the things that keep coming at you and driving you down slowly fade away. And they remain in the past where they belong. You cut access to them in the present. So that's making peace with the past. Now, you all know about our friend Angel Cyrus, who always teaches us some really interesting stuff. And this time, Cyrus was sitting with a small group of spiritually very advanced people who were practicing meditation, who were thinking of higher things in life, who were contemplating, who were meditating every day at 4 a.m. So he's sitting, chatting with them, and the subject of forgiveness comes. But the subject comes up in the context of where they were talking of the 10 stages of the soul. And as you all know, the eighth stage is the stage of the orchestra, where all instruments are in complete harmony. And that is the stage of zero conflict. So they were talking about the stage of zero conflict and asking Cyrus his advice. And he said that the one way to pass the eighth stage and go into the ninth, 10th, and merge into the light, the very important way is to anchor yourself into forgiveness. You sit, you meditate, and you ask forgiveness of your past from your Creator. Remember when we learned about karma, we talked about the karma of enlightenment, which when you make that commitment at the eighth stage, it opens the way and it helps you resolve the karma of the past. So he's telling them that if you sit in meditation, fully committed, and ask your Creator for forgiveness of the past completely, so that in the absence of that past, you have eliminated 80 to 90% of the conflicts that reside in you. Because a lot of them come from there. And then you have to overcome the balance 10 or 20 or 30% that lie ahead of you, making your journey through the stage of zero conflict a lot easier. It comes from seeking that forgiveness from your Creator. Now, a few years ago, I think it's almost 9 years ago, we, the Shift group, went up Mount Everest and we did meditation for world peace and healing right at the top a day before base camp on a plateau with beautiful peaks surrounding the plateau. Many of you are here on this group today. We all went up. Now, on the way up, we walked past this most beautiful river. And I was told that in the days of the Bhagavad Gita, when it was revealed, this river, Sri Krishna used to call it the river of milk. It's called Dudhkushi River. If you look at the water, it's blue, but it's white, and it's like extremely pure, very, very soothing to the eye. And so Cyrus is saying to these people that when you are granted that forgiveness by your Creator, and you look at your past, all you will see is the river of milk. It will be flowing right against the present for you. So when you look back in the past, you will not see any of the hurts of the past, because all you will see is that river of milk flowing right into your present. So that is how the power of forgiveness and asking forgiveness creates that beautiful moment for you in the present, where your past is as pure as that river of milk. That is a huge blessing from the Creator. And when we seek that, and I urge you all to seek that, you will find that achieving that stage of the river of milk flowing into your present, right ending your past, is extremely empowering, extremely peaceful, and changes your perspective on life, changes your perspective of your problems and everything. So, this is how powerful forgiveness is. Now, I learned a huge lesson on forgiveness almost 20 years ago when we went through a very, very difficult time in our lives. And this time we had a lot of challenges. And I remember that there were people and circumstances that, they were out to cause us a lot of grief and loss. And they did. And that made me very sick because I kept asking myself, how can this be possible? How can people do this to each other? But it happened. And for 6 months, I was ill. And then one day I decided, you know what? I can't carry on living life like this. I can't dwell in those hurtful moments of the journey we've been through and the hurtful moments my family had suffered. But I need to cut cords from this whole thing. Now, I have a way that I use to cut these cords. And usually I sit down and visualize it's early morning, dawn time, and there are two sailing ships like the Columbus ships facing opposite directions, and they are tied together by a rope. And there's the early morning mist, and I'm on one ship, and the people who I wish to cut cords with, who I wish to forgive, who I wish to let go, are on that other ship. And then I call on help from my Creator, and I cut that cord. And the two ships start drifting away. And I watch that other ship drift away with no malice, with no anger, with nothing, with pure forgiveness. And it drifts away into the mist until I don't see it anymore. It's gone. And this is how, after I cut cords with the painful experiences, the hurt, the emotions, I found immense peace. My health improved in a matter of 2 weeks. I was back, strong, back in the game, inventing stuff, building stuff, being who I always was. But those periods of hurt and emotions which I allowed to take 6 months away of my life, if you ask me what I would do different, I would say those are the 6 months I wouldn't have wasted. But I cut the cord and I let it go. And people say forgive and forget, but they say it's hard to forget. I'd say it is hard to forget if you try to forget. Forgetting is achieved not by trying to forget. What you do is once you have forgiven, you diminish the importance of those people or what they have done or that event in your life. You make it unimportant. When you think of them, you just say to yourself the words, this is unimportant. It doesn't make me, nor does it break me. So let it go. And as I did that and diminished the importance of the people and the events in my life, I slowly stopped thinking about it. Then I would probably think about them once in a year. I'm thinking about it now while I'm relating this to you. But I have absolutely no pain, no hurt, no malice, no anger, nothing. I have forgiven from the soul. And when I've done that, then it is possible when I pray for forgiveness from my Creator that that river of milk can fill my past and flow right against my present, giving me that peace. And this is what I'm trying to appeal to you all, is to start to forgive. Start to free yourself. Free yourself, seek forgiveness, give forgiveness, and in your spiritual journey, seek that special blessing that your past be cleansed and that beautiful white river, just fill it. So when you look back, there is nothing to upset you, annoy you, disappoint you, bring conflict, nothing. All you then do is take the challenges that lie ahead and keep rising as a soul. Today I put out a blog where I gave the example of, the question was, what can we learn from bees? And there are these bees who are living in an apple orchard. And they pollinate the flowers, and then they take the nectar from the apple blossoms and they make honey. But this particular apple orchard is at an all time low. It is not producing fruit, it is not producing honey, and the farmer is considering getting rid of the beehive and planting new trees. Now, on the same farm, there is a pear orchard which is thriving, producing lots of fruit, producing lovely pear honey in abundance. So one is barren, the other is thriving. And a year back, a bee from the apple orchard willfully, maliciously picks a fight with a bee from the pear orchard because the apple orchard bees are very envious of the pear orchards. And they cannot stand the fact that those guys are thriving in abundance while they are shriveling. So he picks a fight and he stings the bee from the pear orchard so many times in the back, sticking his barbs, his spikes in the back of this bee, his neighbor, causing immense pain. And remarkably, the bee from the pear orchard does not sting this bee back, the apple bee. It accepts it. It does not sting back. It does not do anything. It takes the pain and then it leaves. And a year later, the two bees once again come face to face with each other. And the bee from the apple orchard says, "Why is it that you guys are always thriving in abundance and we are shriveling? When you are a bunch of cowards, you could not even sting me once. You didn't dare sting me in that fight. I won that fight. I'm stronger than you. Why is it that you guys are more abundant than we are?" And the bee from the pear orchard says, "After you stung me and covered my back with spikes, I went back to our hive and began to remove your spikes one by one. And my friends in my clan also joined me, and we removed every single spike from my back that you had stuck in there. And he said, with each spike coming out, I forgave you. And my clan forgave you. And once we had removed all the spikes that you had stuck in my back, you and I had no connection left anymore. Your pain, your hurt, your memory of your cruelty had no space in my being. I let you go. I forgave you." And I went back to enjoying the nectar in the pear flowers, producing honey, pollinating the flowers, and today we have abundance of fruit and honey, and the farmer is very happy. So I gave up. I forgave all your barbs and spikes. And I carried on with what is important to me in my life. And he said, the reason I did not sting you back was when I looked at your back, you had so many spikes and barbs on them from your fellow bees of the apple orchard that you didn't need any more. So I didn't sting you. It wasn't that I was afraid of you. I didn't sting you because you were already hurting. And he says, you guys in your apple orchard walk around with anger and pain and hurt and constantly look at each other with that you fail to pollinate the flowers. You fail to produce honey. And your world is shriveling. So he said, I suggest you go back to your hive and take off all the barbs on your back, work with your fellow friends, remove their spikes, together forgive everything. Free yourselves, and then go and enjoy the nectar of the apple blossoms like the way you should. Pollinate the flowers. There may still be time to save your world, to save your orchard, to save the trees. So, my dear friends, from these bees, we can see our own lives. We can see the barbs. We can see those of us who carry it. We can see where they end up, whether their health goes down, but their world shrivels. So forgiveness is extremely important. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, my dear friends. I hope you will reflect on our conversation and pray that you may be able to make forgiveness an integral part of your state of being and may it bring you much happiness and well being. Stay blessed always, and thank you for your time.